Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Before I get into this one, I have to say that I don't want to do it. I don't. I started covering crypto because I love crypto and everything it represents. The fact that I can be profitable in it is just the icing on the cake, but it is not the cake itself. The cake, for me, is built out of privacy, anonymity, and a detachment from fiat currencies. I like to do my own thing and control my own finances without someone looking over my shoulder and tracking every cent I spend, but that's just me. It's a brave new world without financial borders where the buyer and the seller of a product determine the means of trade for that product. So why don't I want to do this particular video? Because it's politics, and I don't want to cross the streams. I leave my politics out of everything, all right? It's my business and nobody else's. But considering that my major investment, my largest holding, AMP and Flexa, just partnered onto the national stage with their handshake with Banco Agricola, and considering how much of my personal capital is on the line, I think it's fair to answer the FUD that is spewing around about this. I despise journalism with no accountability. The same reason I don't care for hype videos with no context. Report fairly and honestly, or don't report. And the rollout in El Salvador has not been reported on fairly. And that is what we are discussing today. The crypto world is watching El Salvador very close, the absence of the IMF, and the FUD that is pouring out heavily from places like the Wall Street Journal. Getting into that today, right after this. All right. So look, El Salvador is a smallish country, right around 7 million people. They gave up their national currency in 2001 and went onto the US dollar. People didn't like it, claimed it benefited the rich and the banks at the expense of the people. This was how it was directly reported in 2001. So let's fast forward a little bit to a few days ago. El Salvador signed into law an alternative currency called Bitcoin, and they were the first official country on the planet to do so. Was it a rocky rollout? Sure. Chivo Wallet had some snags, but as the day wore on, and the president of El Salvador took to Twitter himself to report on the fixes and the conditions of the Chivo Wallet, it smoothed out. Boots on the ground were able to use the wallet, were able to pay for goods and services with Bitcoin. Dollars could still be spent if one chose not to use Bitcoin, and it seemed to work just fine. So how was it reported? Well, the polls say people don't like it. They claim it only benefits the rich and the banks at the expense of the people. In 20 years, you guys couldn't even write a new narrative. I guess if it got people to read your rags in 2001, it would get people to read your rags in 2021. But they did go farther this time. And I got this link from a viewer, one of my viewers. Thank you, Trevor. Quotes, Article 8 of the law says that the government guarantees automatic and instant convertibility to dollars. It's unclear how that works in real time or the risks to taxpayers. But as Florida Atlantic University economist William Luther points out, those who make the exchange won't be getting dollars in their Chivo accounts, but rather dollar-stable coins. As you will see in a moment, this opens the door to a possible de-dollarization of the economy without the public's approval, end quotes. The Wall Street Journal wrote that. They printed that, and they stand by that. Now, Empire, I gotta ask, is that how Flexa works? Even the newest investor into AMP has some idea how Flexa works. But apparently, the Wall Street Journal, the magazine people read for financial information, couldn't take the time to just Google Flexa. And William Luther of Florida Atlantic University, you just destroyed any credibility you might have had in the crypto world with one sentence. Well done, sir. Has anyone reported positively on this, with the exception of, you know what, the podcasts, a few other channels? Now, from the IMF standpoint, International Monetary Fund, it is important that this fails spectacularly. They see Panama getting ready. They see Ukraine getting ready, and they don't like that. I want to say that the IMF doesn't understand the implications, but I think they understand the implications perfectly. Crypto is tolerable when it is just an esoteric plaything for tech people. But when it becomes real, when it is able to be used to purchase bread, it is becoming a problem because it is something that they cannot control. They can't track it. They can't catalog it. Hence, it must fail. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is don't expect to see any positive press coming out about either El Salvador or Flexa in the near future. Not anything mainstream. They are on the world stage now, and the FUD runneth strong here. I want you to consider for just a minute. The entire crypto market is moving up and moving down right now, and it's a lot more up than down. I'm doing well. But AMP stays absolutely flat with barely any volume. The volume on AMP right now is pitiful. Now, considering the popularity of the coin, considering the fact that they just got integrated into an entire country, not another chain store, but they are sitting at the table for a sovereign nation now, and it won't budge. It is not a stretch to imagine them integrating into the next country or countries to adopt crypto, but it won't even budge via speculation. What other cryptocurrency has had the news coming out about it that this one has? Purely positive, purely use case. Not sometime in the future or another announced partnership, but full integration into an entire sovereign country. I know how AMP moves. I have talked about it a lot. It moves on usage and sustains it. But the lack of even a speculative bump, considering the world stage right now, has my spider sense tingling to hell and gone. I had considered moving some of my position and looking for greener pastures. Now I am digging all the way in. All the way. Truth will win out over fiction that these guys are printing, and I am going to victory lap all over them when it does. Live stream on Thursdays at 1900 and member stream on Saturdays at the same time. I don't feel good about this one, but I feel good that I did it. We'll see you guys. Cheers.